And here we go. We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, roll, Atlantis.
Water towers fly! Yes!
Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside FD off. Bring in FD off. Off. It's orange!
R45! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage.
What is it?
Put that in the big bag, Eagle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
This methane will be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You good? Sure. We don't need any more of these.
Good evening. You are taking a live look right now at Space Launch Complex 40 at the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida, where, yes, it is a day that ends in AY, which means SpaceX is ready to launch another batch of Starlink internet satellites. I am Sawyer Rosenstein. I will be your host for this evening's broadcast of the 6-94 mission. But as is always the case, I am, of course, not alone. I am joined tonight on commentary by Alex from the studios. How's it going, Alex?
It's going fantastic, and it's been quite an active week in the last few days, I guess. Just continuing the activity, right? Because it's just steamrolling here.
Well, I guess it's kerosene and oxygen loading, but yeah, or rolling, but still,
Rolling.
yeah. I should know about rolling. Anyway, also joining us from the field tonight on commentary is Max. How's it going, Max?
Good evening, everybody. Yes, the fun continues. And while we saw a booster come in earlier and 3 in about the last 24 hours or so, we are about to send one more up, hopefully in just under an hour. So just another week on the Space Coast that never sleeps.
Yeah, not kidding about never sleeping. It's been a busy day, and I'm sure we'll even talk a little bit about that as we go through the count tonight. DY is also out in the field tonight, providing views for yous all. And you could see there our setup at the 39 press site there on the Kennedy Space Center side, looking over at the Space Force side. And pushing the buttons, pulling the levers tonight is Carson. So, Alex, for people just joining here, I mean, this is probably getting used to this routine, but what do we have for tonight's Starlink mission?
Yeah, so today they are targeting right now a launch at 7, 12, and 20 seconds p.m. Eastern. That will be 12 minutes past midnight and another extra 20 seconds UTC on the 19th. So this one is launching 29 Starlink V2 mini satellites into orbit. Of course, it's a Falcon 9 going into a 43-degree inclination orbit, which means we're going to get a southeast launch trajectory out of the Cape. As you can see today's launch is from Space Launch Complex 40. This is going to be the 293rd flight by SpaceX from that pad. So we're getting close to the 300th launch by SpaceX from that pad. And once the stages separate, the second stage will ignite its MVAC engine, will go into a preliminary orbit, then will relight again roughly 50 minutes later to insert the 29 Starlink V2 mini satellites into a 259 by 272 kilometer orbit up there into that 43-degree inclination orbit. Now, while that second stage is getting into the preliminary orbit, the first stage will come back down and will be landing on a Shortfall of Gravitas, and you can see there, this will be, if successful, the 134th landing on that drone ship out of the 135 attempts so far. So, another Starlink, many of these numbers already getting too big to handle, right? You might have also seen that on that, excuse me, right the beginning of that list of stats, 592nd launch by SpaceX overall. We're approaching the 600th milestone. Just saying, be warned.
Get ready for all of the thumbnails with 600 this, 600 that. I mean, just the other day, I believe, out at Vandenberg, we had the 500th flight of a reused booster.
Yeah.
So, yeah, as if we didn't have another 500 in us yet, there was more.
Yep, we're getting there.
Oh boy. But anyway, the weather tonight seems to be quite lovely, and Max, uh, seems that way out there at the Cape, right?
It certainly does, and judging from what our Mark 1 eyeballs are telling us, it lines up with what the forecast is saying, which at the moment is forecasting only a 5% probability of a weather-related violation. So, things are looking good, with the primary concerns being the cumulus cloud rule, which, looking around, I honestly I cannot see any with my eyes. So I think that is not going to be a concern for now, although I don't want to jinx it. There is still time left in the window. But in terms of the other risk criteria, including the upper level wind shear, booster recovery, weather, and solar activity, all of which are finally rated back down to of low concern, especially with the solar activity and the absolute just chaos that was in the past week with that recent solar storm. We are all glad to see that, and I'm sure all these satellites currently in orbit around Earth are as well. But really, besides this not being a less than 5% chance of a violation, weather really is about as good as it can get. There is hardly a breeze around. Good lord, I can't talk. Been a long week, and yeah, the air is just stagnant. It is a beautiful night out here, and for once, we also are not boiling. So, rather comfortable, and these should be good conditions to see Falcon 9 off the ground tonight.
And that's what we were hoping for to see, in particular, Falcon 9 booster 1085. Who wants to run us through the history of this booster and where it's going to be landing tonight? Max, do you have those numbers?
I do indeed. So, as you said, Sawyer, this is booster B1085, and it is, in terms of its flight history, it is currently including the likes of Crew 9, RRT-1, Firefly Blue Ghost Mission 1, From 2, SXM-10, MTG-S1, and only 5 previous Starlink missions. And as the name suggests, or I should say its current nomenclature, this is only its 12th assigned flight. So it's about entering that sort of middle-aged period of a Falcon 9 booster's lifespan at the moment, with the current fleet leader being 1067 at 31 flights, which is freaking remarkable, considering that we were already like biting our nails at around 20 flights. So almost there to the 40 flight milestone that the folks at SpaceX are hoping to certify Falcon 9 boosters up to, but we are still a bit out from that. Although I think at some point next year we should see that milestone eclipsed. But hopefully about 8.5 minutes into flight, this first stage booster will hopefully be meeting the drone ship, a Shortfall of Gravitas, about 600 kilometers downrange for a successful landing and recovery. In terms of what vessels are downrange to support, I should say vessel is downrange to support fairing recovery, which is about 100 kilometers farther out, is the vessel Doug. So really, in terms of what we have on the docket tonight, it really is just business as usual for SpaceX.
It's, again, so crazy that this is now business as usual. Also, business as usual is the fact that if you have any questions, you can tag us at NASA Spaceflight or at NSF, and we will do our best to answer as many questions as we can of yours. Brooding Jet coming in with a super chat question asking how many V2 minis are going up, 23, 28, or 29? Grok is incorrect on this one. It is indeed 29. And Alex, how do they determine the number on each of these?
Well, it's down to multiple aspects. The first one and most important one, of course, is how many can the rocket carry, right? That's the most important one, because if it cannot carry 29, those things are not getting into orbit, right? Either because they cannot fit physically in the payload fairing, or because the Falcon 9 doesn't have the performance to carry those. So, for example, earlier on, the Starlink V2 mini satellites were a little bit heavier, right? They've optimized those starting last year, where they sort of went down in the weight by about 20%. And so they were able to go from 21, 22 at the beginning. They went up to first like 23, 24, and then they did a major step and went up to 28 to 29, depending on the orbit. That is sort of the other, excuse me. I don't know why. I have this in the throat, but it's been bugging me today. So yeah, the other consideration is the orbit that it is going. So for example, if you're going to an orbit that it's polar, for example, you're maybe going from Vandenberg, you want to go to polar orbits, the usual thing that it's usually said of like, oh, the rotation of the Earth helps you. You actually have to counter that because the rotation of the Earth helps you go east. But when you're going on a polar orbit, you're going north, south, depending on when you are in the orbit and whatnot. So you have to counter that rotation to the east. So you actually have to spend more of that rocket's performance, and so you carry fewer of them. For example, some of these polar Starlink satellite launches, they have carried 24 instead of the 27 or 28, 29 that some of these missions have been carrying from the Space Coast. But also, we've seen in some instances, especially when they carried the direct-to-cell satellites, they wanted a very specific number of them per plane in orbit, right? Like you try to spread out all of those around the Earth to have good coverage and everything. So because of that, you may just want to launch a certain number of them. In the case of when they did like the mix of direct-to-cell satellites with V2 mini satellites, they usually carried like 10 DTC satellites, direct-to-cell satellites, and 13 regular V2 minis and things like that, because they wanted to have like 10 in that certain plane, etc., etc. So major point here, as I said, the rocket needs to carry this into the proper orbit, right? And then once you choose the orbit, it's like, well, I want these many satellites and I can carry that. Okay, I'll launch it. And so that's sort of the whole deal why that's the case. But yeah, they can carry 29. They launch 29.
The more the merrier, and if you've got the downrange support for it, might as well take it.
Yep.
Here's a really good question because I'll answer two of them. I'll answer the first part and then throw the second part to Max. Alan asking, isn't there still an FAA requirement to be after 10 p.m. or is that over? That is indeed over. That has been lifted, so rockets can launch at any time of day. Now, in terms of this time of day, Max P Gamer is wondering, jellyfish tonight? Question mark.
You know, if it was launching at the opening of the window, which was at 6:29 p.m., maybe there was a chance because sunset currently is around 5:30 p.m. Local time now. There may have been a chance then, but we are too far into the nighttime to really have a good jellyfish effect. So, unfortunately, not tonight. Although I think for us here on the Space Coast, we are due for a pretty good one because those folks over on the West Coast at Vandenberg have gotten quite a lot of them in I should say this year. So, not tonight, but we are due. So hopefully we get one soon.
Show offs.
We still launch more. It's okay, Sawyer.
That is very true. As we are nearing 100 launches from the Space Coast this year, I believe this is 90. Is it Alex 97 from Florida? 98.
Sorry, can you repeat? I was certainly in another thing. Sorry.
Launches from Florida this year. Was this 97 or
yeah,
98?
sure. Yeah. I was thinking like, is this about the Cape? Yeah. So there are right now 98. So this will be the 99th, which means this week we're gonna get to 100 out of the Space Coast. So that's gonna be really interesting. And yeah, I was thinking like Cape Canaveral itself, that's gonna be 76 because there's being 75 from the Cape and 23 from Kennedy. But Space Coast, both of them at the same time right now, 98. So it will go to 99. Maths with NSF, I guess.
And that's why you're here, and I don't do math. But yeah, and again, it's amazing to keep that math in mind here with all the different vehicles flying and everything. And that is pretty much anything that the 45th Weather Squadron and the range with them, Space Launch Delta 45, is keeping track of from Florida, will consider, for the Florida launches, including the return of New Glenn's booster, which you could see there on the left side of your screen. It looks like the cap that's going to go on top that they will use to then lift it off of Jacqueline onto the platform that they have over at the port, and they will then take that and lower it down, or kind of lower it sideways or down end, or whatever the proper terminology for is. They've tried it a couple times, I believe, so far tonight, and haven't quite gotten it yet.
I mean, it is their first time doing it with a flight-proven booster, so I will cut them a little slack. And they're also not on the time frame that SpaceX normally is with Falcon 9, so I don't think they're in a terrible rush.
I agree. And you could see it there. Again, it's so weird looking at the port and going, oh yeah, there's also, 2 Falcon 9 boosters in there right now, or is it 3?
Currently 2, and they're both. Last I checked, they were both vertical still.
Yeah, that's what I mean. This is absolutely wild and fun to see the Cape alive with other rockets too.
And the funny
About
thing is,
time.
like, yeah, earlier today I was actually looking at SCL Space Coast Live, and they were trying to attach the cap. And as they were trying to attach the cap in one of those attempts, just read the instructions was leaving for the next Starlink out of the Cape. It's like, that's how it goes in the Space Coast these days. It just keeps going.
The world's premier spaceport. There you go. 43 minutes to go until we add another tally to those launches with what you see on your screen right there. Let me take a second and thank some people real quick. Michael Comrade, thank you for becoming a launch director, one of the highest levels of support that we have here at NSF. Wow. Thank you. As a launch director, you get access to the NSF Discord. You get all of the cool members' photos and things that get posted here on YouTube. You also get your name at the end of our NSF live shows, as well as our weekly news show, The Flame Trench, and our eternal gratitude. So thank you. Gail Doug, thank you for becoming a PadRat member. Bideford with a $25 super chat saying, a great hosting crew tonight. Thank you, Sawyer, Alex, and Max. Another 29 going up. Always love seeing your name, Bideford. Thank you for that. Hunters Run Adventures, thank you for becoming a PadRat member. And then upgrading immediately to a Capcom member. So hopefully we will see you in the NSF Discord. And we also have the pre and post shows of the Flame Trench when we do those on Fridays in that same Discord too. Well, now that we are the answer to life, the universe, and everything away from launch, Alex, what can we expect in terms of the timeline coming up here?
Yeah, so right around now, they should have begun their go-no-go poll for Propellant load. And as we are used to, we are not going to be hearing that. Also, even if we had access, we will not hear anything because it's electronic, right? It's not like they actually go ahead and say go, no go, or whatever, over a comsnet or something like that. That was abandoned, unfortunately, many years ago. But once they go through all of the different controllers, right, and operators at Launch Control Center, probably at Hangar X in Roberts Road, they are going to be sort of, the launch director will see all of those different outcomes of the poll, and then will verify that everything is go for Propellant load at the T-minus 38-minute mark, as you can see there on the timeline. If everything is still good for Propellant load, then that should begin at T-minus 35 minutes, starting with the stage 1 RP1 in liquid oxygen. So both tanks on the stage 1 will begin be loaded, and then also at the same time the second stage RP1 will also be loaded as well. The liquid oxygen will wait a little bit more, as you can see there down the timeline to the T-minus 16-minute mark, preceded first by that LOX chill down vent, our lovely T-minus 20 minutes and 20-second vent, which should be happening right after RP1 load completes on the second stage. So that's where we are right now. We should be waiting about 8 more minutes to hopefully see the frost on these vehicles. Because again, we don't have access to the poll, unfortunately. We have no mission control audio as we used to have back in the day. And so we just have to wait until that propellant actually goes into the booster and the second stage. And the booster gets liquid oxygen. It's cold. Tanks get frosty. So we'll see that frost roughly at the T-minus 32-minute mark.
And of course, we will keep an eye out for all of those as the countdown continues. And it looks like they may be getting the cap in the right spot this time. Let's see what happens as they lower that. Again, this live from our Cape Cam over at Rusty's at the port, which, again, we thank them for letting us put 2 of our cameras up there, in addition to being a great place to stop and grab a bite to eat.
Yes, Cap, for real.
Oh my God, Alex, no.
No. This is coming from the Max, who normally says this stuff.
Ooh, light. And Blue said, "Let there be light."
And it was
It was blue.
And it was blue. Ooh, the other one. Maybe these lights are on the cab itself?
I
Kinda
think so,
looks
because
like
I
it.
don't see a drone or anything flying around that would do that.
Nice. Yeah, that would be very similar to the one they used with Falcon 9. I mean, I know it's not even the same company, but rockets, you have only a few ways of doing things, I guess.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to see. Because hey, this is the first time we're seeing this with an actual flown booster, so we're all kind of in the same way here. Trying to learn all of this.
So cool.
Yeah.
But you can see they have the pushers for stage separation in between the attachment points that they're using. But then also in between the pairs of pushers, there's like another bolt. And I think that's where the second stage bolts into the first stage. I say bolt, but you know what I mean, right? Like attachment
Attached,
system.
yeah.
I don't know if it's an actual bolt. It's probably not.
Yeah, and again, we're all learning this, so we'll keep an eye on this as we keep going here. And in fact, Max, we saw this booster coming in earlier today. I gotta ask what that was like, how it compares to seeing Falcon booster return.
I mean, I honestly don't think it does. I mean, we've seen Falcon 9 boosters come back hundreds of times now, so we know what we're going to get, even if it happens to be at a pretty time of day, or if a booster is like slightly leaning due to a hard impact and one of the crush cores is, I guess, shoved in more than it normally is due to a hard landing. We've never seen this before. We've never seen we've never seen a New Glenn first stage booster come back into port after its first successful flight and landing before. Um, I almost don't even have the words. I mean, that also just ties into what an insane week and a half it's been since that very first launch attempt a little over a week ago now. Good lord, it doesn't compare because obviously we have the difference in propellant from the Carolox mixture between Falcon 9 and the Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy side boosters, and also the center core as well. But New Glenn uses liquid methane, which of course burns very clean and leaves no soot. And from what we can tell, there is minimal, I guess, battle scarring on the surface of the booster, whether it be around the strakes or the engine section. And I have to say, the Gold Comet thermal protection material, which is a fabric-based protection system, looks borderline immaculate. There is some discoloration that we saw towards the base of the aft module in one of Jeff's photos that he posted, but really, other than that, and some paint missing around one of the strakes, the booster looks brand new. It really does, and that's what is so staggering about it. And because it's white, we would be hopefully we would hopefully see any sort of discoloration or like markings on the booster very well, because hopefully it would contrast well, and we don't see it. We hardly see any of that. So it literally looks like Blue could just put this in the factory, make sure the engines are good, and throw it back out out at LC-36 and try to fly it again, which hopefully they will sometime soon. But and it's also freaking massive. It is a lot wider than the Falcon 9 cores. I think it is about 7 meters in diameter, which is only 2 meters smaller than Starship, whether it be super heavy or the ship itself. So it's not small. It was magnificent, I do have to say, and I was lucky enough to be in a chopper this morning to watch it come in, and we did a few orbits around it, and it looks like nothing we've ever seen before. Is that a drone over
I
the
can't
cap
tell if
right
that's a
there?
drone or an airplane just in the background.
It might actually be an airplane now that I'm thinking
Yeah.
about it. But yeah, it was incredible, and hopefully we get to see it again very soon. Hopefully in the not too distant
Ah, there we
future.
go.
Yeah,
I actually
yeah,
wanted to, because you mentioned this discoloration, and you can see it's sort of pinkish.
yep.
I cannot wait until these boosters like fly even more often, and that turns pink. Because there was a lot of discussion. Because I think it was Jeff himself that talked about how it sort of discolors as it gets used, and so it's like I really want to see a very flight proven New Glenn booster because it's gonna look really cool.
I mean, honestly, I kind of feel like it's unlike Starship because it is made of stainless steel. That has a very profound discoloration both by the hot staging ring and the engine section because those
And
are the
it's also
areas.
not painted.
And it's also not painted, correct.
Yeah.
Those are the areas on the booster that see the most amount of thermal loading, and because it's steel, it discolors from like purple and blue and sometimes red in some areas. Whereas this is a much different material. So what we see now as sort of like a pinkish finish, I feel like it's only going to get uglier as opposed to getting cooler as it flies more, and if they don't
I don't
replace
know. I
any
think it.
of the TPS. I don't know. That's just me. I
Yeah,
could be dead wrong.
yeah. I'm of the side that it'll probably be looking even cooler than it is right now. That as the gold turns into pink, it might look really really cool.
I hope you're right.
Yeah.
Ooh, that would be kind of fun. I'm sure there are people out there that could Photoshop what that would look like, but I mean, I expected it to be a lot darker coming back, especially in that close-up shot.
Dude, I was staggered. Like I didn't even have the words. Like it looks borderline brand new. Like and that's such in stark contrast to what we're used to with Falcon and even Super Heavy. Just wild.
Oh, it's so cool. Again, I love that this is the timeline that we're in. At least in regards to spaceflight, this timeline is awesome. And we are also getting close to Frostwatch in the next minute or two. If they are going to proceed with the current T0 for Starlink 6-94, then we should see that frost beginning. And again, the current T0 is 7:12 p.m. local time here on the East Coast and 20 seconds. Let's see here. Question-wise, we've got a couple more here that are on the Falcon 9 side of things. Alex Space Duck Josh is asking, as cadence ramps up, have there been any rumors of SpaceX adding more drone ships?
Rumors there have been lots of them. As to whether those are correct or not, I'm still on the side that probably not. And my reasoning behind that is that unless it's made for the West Coast, I don't see, for example, like 3 drone ships on the East Coast. They seem to have preferred to just try to get the drone ships back as soon as possible and need as little maintenance as possible between flights so they can just go out again. Like, so some of these drone ships are just turned around within 3 or 4 days. Like you have one launch one day, and 4 days later it's doing another landing because it can come in and out of the port in like 2 days, and it's just amazing the way that they've been able to do this. So I'm not sure they will need a another drone ship, at least on the East Coast. On the West Coast, we'll see. They have Slick 6, excuse me, Space Launch Complex 6 coming up. Maybe that'll necessitate a second drone ship out there, but they are also quite lucky with Vandenberg because unlike on the Cape, where you have like a 2-day trip more or less to the landing zone, because of the way that orbits work and because it's Long Beach and not directly Vandenberg, it's a little bit closer to the landing site. So it's closer to like 1 day, a little over a day. So the turnarounds there can be even faster. It can be like 2.5 days for the drone ship to go out, back, and go out again. So we'll see. But rumors, many. Whether they are correct or not, I'm not too sure.
I mean, Alex, technically they're adding another drone ship, but that's going to be
Oh
for
yeah.
transporting Starship boosters and upper stages to the Cape, at least for a little bit.
You'll
Who's
thank me
to say?
later.
Exactly. And who's to say they won't, convert that for Falcon 9 use afterwards? I don't know how different the construction is going to be. Just a minor thought. But technically they are adding one, but just not for Falcon operations.
Ooh, interesting. Also, interesting, I think we're seeing frost there at the bottom of Falcon 9. That's what it kind of looks like to me. Max, you too?
It sure looks like it. I'm seeing a lot of vapor. Yep, I'm seeing some vapor and some ice there through the shrubbery. So that is a good sign that they are proceeding, and they are also now fully committed to that 7:12 p.m. T0. Because once they begin prop load, they do not have the resources to recycle in the countdown, or I should say, in the window for a second attempt. So good to see, and hopefully it's not going to be too late of a night for us here at the press site.
Well, now it won't be too late of a night. The question is, will it be with a launch or not?
You never know what could happen, Sawyer. That's why I say hopefully. You
don't.
never know.
Don't ship 36 it.
Oh, no,
Anyway,
no. I mean, I have to put it out there. I don't want to put any certainties out there, but I can't put any, or I should say absolutes, but you have to leave some room there always, in my opinion.
fair. Anyway, you guys were talking about finally bringing Starship to Florida. Someone with a fantastic name, Sawyer6410, saying, when do you think the first Starship Super Heavy will be shipped by barge to Florida? And of course, when launch? Max, will start with you first, then Alex, your predictions, and I'll give mine.
I think we could see the first super heavy and ship hardware being transported here maybe around the February or March timeline, depending on how quickly that they can get ops up in Starbase. We know that Booster 18 is nearing completion and could potentially be rolled out somewhat soon for a cryo test, but we don't know. We have no idea when that could be exactly. But depending on how that goes, I would have to say in terms of hardware, probably January or I should say February or March. In terms of launch, I think it's going to be summer. I can't really put a month on it right now. If I really had to, I'd probably say August at the earliest. But the pad is coming along very well. The actual launch mount itself was just lifted onto the actual flame trench last week. So things are looking good for the actual pad. So the pad's looking good, and we just need the bay over by Hangar X and X2 to get to actually become operational and functional. Same with the Star Factory, hopefully beginning construction somewhat soon. And then that's obviously a couple years out, but very long-winded. As you can see, a picture here tweeted from Kiko Donchev, also from I think it was a couple days ago now. Obviously, when the launch mount rolled out from Hangar X, there you can see the beginnings of Gigabay in Florida there in the background. And now this just absolutely insane picture coming in from the bottom of the LC-39A flame trench, and you can see the shorter chopsticks there and the launch mount being lifted up on top of that. So kind of a wild perspective considering how heavy that launch mount really is, and you really should not be standing here when that's in the air, even if it is being held by the world's largest and heaviest crane. But very 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 long-winded answer, but I would say transport in January or February or March, and then launch probably in mid to late summer.
What? SpaceX has never had cranes fall over when they were doing operations at, say, Massey's or anything? Too soon?
I think it's okay. By now, it's been what, 5 months already?
Something
Since
like that.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that was a rough time at Massey's over there for quite a bit. But yeah, Alex, when do you think we'll see Starship Cape?
I think shipment will probably be around early summer. And my guess is that the launch will be like end of summer, like September maybe, or thereabouts. Yeah. We'll see. I would love to be wrong if it's earlier. Yeah. I would love to be wrong if it's earlier. If it's later, I don't want to be wrong, please.
I mean, as Max pointed out, the biggest thing is right now they could ship it, but they have nowhere to store it. So I think it's going to have to wait until the first half of the Gigabay kind of is ready to go.
Can they ship it? No. Do they have the vehicles for Florida? Because they have now a booster and a ship, but those are for Starbase. So it's like they also need to make the booster and ship, right? Which is why I'm thinking like summer or thereabouts. Like maybe they build a couple of boosters for Starbase and a few ships, so they launch out of there, and then they sort of snag one of the boosters from the production side, and then another ship and whatnot, put it on a barge on, you'll thank me later barge, and then they ship it out to the Cape. So it may take a little bit for them because they are right now starting to build these version 3 boosters and ships. So like I'm sort of leaving them a little bit of time in my imagination in this sort of situation here, right? In this answer where it's like give them a few more months there to get those boosters and ships done, whatnot, and then they can ship them out there.
Yeah, but again, I think they're going to have to wait until the Gigabay is completed first, even if they have a booster or two that they're ready to ship. So I think you're in the right area with the summer time frame, assuming that construction goes well. Because as we've seen from the flyovers, they're kind of focusing on one half of the building more than the other for the Florida ones. They at least have somewhere to work. But I think that we won't see a launch until fall of next year. Again, I hope you're more on the correct side, you guys, but I'm thinking fall.
I mean, Sawyer, you say that, but we have also seen that the third crane has been erected over at at the bay currently, and there were only two previously. So, looks like progress is happening there. But I think even though there's about a month head start from the bay here compared to Starbase, Starbase has all four cranes up for each bay. So I think that one is probably going to overtake us at some point, or it could not. I'm not sure. But it's coming along fast. I have to say, it is coming along really, really fast.
There are slots for 4 cranes, if I remember correctly, from the flyover.
Yes.
So we'll see what ends up happening there. As we get 23 minutes to go now. Bulgarian guy asking a question. This sounds like an Alex question if I've ever heard one. If the center Merlin engine fails to relight, can they use another one from the outer ring to land the booster?
As far as I know, no. There's many reasons why this is not the case. The first one is that unfortunately, I don't think Falcon 9 is designed to be able to land off center with like off center thrust, right? Especially the outer engines. It's not that they cannot gimbal more. It's just that because of where they are located, like they are outer engines, right? They are closer to each other, whereas the center engine, it's located a little bit lower, and also you have just one single engine down there, right? And so it has more room to move around, and so that sort of gives the Falcon 9 booster a lot of handling, if you will, right? Of to be able to maneuver and things like that. So I don't think it's supposed to land with one off-center engine, again, because those outer engines do not gimbal the same way. And also because of the way that the entry burn works and the landing burn works, usually they light up first the center engine and then the two other engines, right? So it would be a bit weird if you were to light up the center engine, it doesn't work, and then the outer two light up. It's also always the same 3 engines, right? It's not like super heavy, like maybe if one of the middle engines doesn't work, you still have like another 12 engines running and things like that. There's a lot fewer redundancies with Falcon 9. And to be fair, it's still quite a reliable landing. There's been very fewer failures in recent times. Like the last time it was last August. And I have here the stats. In fact, 194 landings ago was the last failure. This will mark the 195th if it is successful. So just put it in perspective that despite not having a lot of redundancies in place, it's still quite a reliable booster when it comes to landing and launching, of course. But for launching, they do have a lot more redundancies.
Well, Alex, also, speaking of engine relight, also, the engines are relit by TTEB, or triethyl aluminum and triethyl borine. On the pad, all of the TTEB is supplied externally, but they do have
Mm-hmm.
onboard TTEB canisters for E1, E5, and E9, and obviously
Yep.
they need more for E1 because that one is reignited twice compared to E5 and E9, which are only reignited once. So even if they wanted to try that, I don't even know if they would have enough TTEB on board to start either E5 or E9. So maybe that would be a fun experiment if they wanted to throw away a booster and try it. If they had, I guess, the fuel, I guess, margin to do that. But
Mhm.
Falcon 9 is not Starship. I don't think that they can just fly and try
Yeah.
things unless they have the absolute room with certainty.
We saw in recent Starship flights, in fact, they tried different ways of landing the booster, right? Rather than the usual place. But I know right now there's a very important event happening, right? That we should probably take care of.
I wonder what that event could be. I said vent instead of event. Anyway, yes, the T-minus 20-second vent. Quite famous indeed. You could see it right there on your screen. Alex, since you pointed it out, what is this LOX chill down, or as we just call it, the best vent?
Yeah, so as the name says, it's the LOX chill down. That's because they chill down the line that go to the second stage, that transport reactor line, in order to prepare for the fueling, or rather, I should say, the propellant load, because fueling will be loading the fuel, just that. Um, writer. So a lot of the style guide things, but yeah, so they're gonna be loading liquid oxygen in just 3 minutes, right? So they need to prepare that transport reactor for that process. And the usual thing that I like to explain, if you're a person that doesn't like cold water and you're trying to get into a pool, and the water might be too cold, you tiptoe your way into the pool and things like that, while others they're like jumping to the water. They don't care or anything. I'm the person that tiptoes into the water because I'm just like that. But you try to get used to it, right? Like you try to get used to the water being cold. Same thing with this process, where it's like you've let a little bit of that liquid oxygen through that line, and you essentially condition that material, instead of just flashing it and like putting that material directly with that liquid oxygen in just one go. You let it condition itself, lower the temperature very slowly, and get to that temperature that it needs to get in order to load the liquid oxygen through the second stage. So it's very much like that. In the process, you create a lot of gaseous oxygen, and that's the vent that we see, right? And so that's what we see there. Technically, the vent, so the white smoke, it's actually the condensation of the atmospheric humidity because of the gaseous oxygen that is being vented. It's a whole thing, but anyways.
Anyways, also a good way, as we point out, it's an indicator to see which way the wind is going, and it looks like Max is just a light breeze right now, but definitely a noticeable breeze.
I would struggle to even say it's noticeable. If we have a camera at the hut available to look at the flag here, but kind of by the countdown clock, it is just hanging straight down. There isn't even a breeze over here, but although there probably is over at Slick 40 because it is a lot closer to the water. So, yeah. Otherwise, it is absolutely beautiful out here. Plenty of stars above our heads, and there is no moon, so the stars are even more vibrant and I was gonna say pungent, but that's not the right word at all. But they are. It is a beautiful night out here for sure, and certainly I would struggle to ask I guess Mother Nature for any better conditions to launch in. So it's feeling nice.
That's what we love to see. And again, hopefully in just a minute, we will see that vent, so to speak, disappear, in which case then we will know that the liquid oxygen load will be underway on stage 2. Meanwhile, RP1 and LOX load continues on stage 1 for tonight's launch of the Starlink 6-94 mission. Tonight, hopefully carrying 29 Starlink V2 mini satellites into orbit. Now, I've been seeing people that have kind of been trickling in asking, Alex, for people that might be able to see tonight's launch, which trajectory are we launching on this evening?
Yeah, so this launch is heading to the southeast. It's using that sort of trajectory that skirts around the northeast of the Bahamas. You can see there those hazard zones, both for air and sea, for launch and landing of this mission. So, it goes out from the Cape to the southeast, and then you can see the Bahamas there down below. And of course, it sort of goes to around them to the northeast, and that patch of area there in the water, of course, that's where the drone ship is located, but also that's where the fairings will be splashing down on this mission, and will be recovered by ferry recovery vessel Doug. And so, yeah, that is what we're going to see here. Now, one interesting thing is also there's going to be a second stage deorbit, and I think for this one in particular, maybe people might be seeing it. There we go. Here in Madagascar, it might be visible for not the reentry, but when it comes around, it needs to do the second stage of the orbit burn, and that is actually over the United States, sort of like central area and things like that. So maybe it'll be visible. I know sometimes we are able to spot some of those, like our McGregor teams are even able to see that. People maybe in Canada and things like that are also able to see that. So stay tuned for that, because you might be able to see that if you are there as well. But definitely, if you are south of the Cape, just look east. It's gonna be sort of that way. And if you're in the Bahamas, congratulations! You might even see the reentry burn of the booster. So that's really cool.
It is very cool to see. We've occasionally seen some of those doing their little passivation over Europe. We've seen some happen over the Cape. It really depends on which trajectory it's going, where it's going, and when it happens, if it's daylight or nighttime. But it is very cool. Let me really quickly thank Captain Kirsch for gifting a Red Team membership. Very much appreciate that. Thank you. Appreciate your generosity, and hopefully some other people get to see some of the awesome member perks and content coming out, including a lot of the photos that were taken today by Max and Dee and Jerry and Julia out there of New Glenn's return. Let's see here. Get to more of your questions. Again, you can tag us at NASA Spaceflight or at NSF. Max, this is a great question for our Space Coast team here. Resistojet, has there ever been more than one or even two Falcon 9s launched in a single day yet? And you and I have been to quite a bunch of doubleheaders together.
Yes, we have, and there have been many. I believe, oh gosh, I've lost count at this point. There's been probably, well, in terms of launching from the U.S., from either one of their pads here in Florida and the one in Vandenberg, there's been, I want to say, upwards of probably, oh gosh, 8 or 9, I want to say. But in terms of both pads here in Florida, we had one just recently last Friday, and that is not the first, and certainly will not be the last going into next year, which I think the launch cadence they want to hit is going to be even higher than this year, which they are currently on pace to hit around 165, which is absolutely bonkers, if not higher. So yes, there absolutely have been, and there also have been, I want to say, oh gosh, just from Florida, there's been 3 or 4 double headers already this year. No, there's been 5 double headers this year, including the ones we had last week with New Glenn and Atlas, and then 2 Falcons the very next day. And we've also had 3 prior this year. I want to say one was 2 Falcons, and the other 2 was a Falcon and a Vulcan, and then a Falcon and an Atlas. I want to say that's right, just off the top of my head, but somebody correct me if they have to. But yes. Oh, Alex in the back channel saying you have a better one. Alex?
Oh yeah, yeah. I didn't want to interrupt you because you were
good.
Straight facts. So I was like letting you talk because I have a better one than a double header. How about a triple header? But not particularly from the Cape. I know you were talking, yeah, because they were asking about Falcon 9 in a day. Not only 1 or 2, but 3 Falcon 9 launches in a single day. That is actually right now what is sort of the fastest, not turnaround between 2 launches, but between 3 launches of Falcon 9 across all of the 3 launch pads. That happened earlier this year. They had the Crew 10 launch, right? And then a few hours later, they had Transporter 13 out of Vandenberg. And within like few hours of that, they had a Starlink launch also from the Cape within less than I think it's like 10 hours or so. 3 launches in just 10, 11 hours or so. It was bonkers. I remember that day. It was very, very active because we covered the Crew 10 launch, and then we had to cover the Starlink the next day. And yeah, it was quite a thing.
There was quite a lot going on, but bonkers is definitely a great word for it. What's also bonkers is we are already nearing the holiday season. We are near the Thanksgiving in the United States, which means, yes, it is not too early to discuss holiday gear, and we have a whole bunch of it specifically in the shop at shop.nasaspaceflight.com. One of my favorites and one of the best sellers right now that I highly recommend are the holiday sweaters. There are 2 different designs. Of course, for those of us here on the Space Coast, we have the fantastic design that features Falcon 9 with a Crew Dragon capsule on top from Launch Complex 39A. It has a lot of fun little Easter eggs and things on it. Of course, you've got, instead of the lights on the towers, you've got little snowflakes and in the palm trees as well. And on the back, there's also the landing of the booster and the recovery of it there. You can see Falcon 9 on one of the drone ships. Also see a crew capsule under parachute on the way back down. And these are knitted. This is not, we took a sweater and slapped a print on it. These are actual knitted sweaters. I joke that it's, Granny's trapped in Das's basement, but it is actually knitted. It's really warm. I've had a few over the years. There's a whole bunch of designs you can collect, but these new ones, even though it's Florida, I may still have to get one. And of course, for our Starship lovers out there as well, Can't forget the one featuring all of the major milestones that we've seen recently here from the first full stack launch with Hopper in there. You've got the catch of the booster. I mean, it's so awesome. And we fixed the orientation of the engines for those who complained about last time on the re-entry portion there. You'll see they are now the correct way. So, yeah, you can check all of that out. And we have all of the awesome holiday merch that you could ever want to gift somebody, including our new sweatpants, 1,000-piece puzzles, all of those in the holiday section there at shop.nasaspaceflight.com. And apparently there's a challenge for me to sell more of them than Chris Bergen can. So I will beat Chris. I love you, Chris, but even if I have to buy 60 of them myself because they are super nice. Coming
Do
up
we
now.
have
Yeah,
do we
go
have
ahead, Alex.
any gray ones for Vandenberg?
Wow.
I know
Even
we do have like the new pajama pants and whatnot of like rocket themed and everything, which is cool by the way. But yeah, I wanted to do the joke like, we could have a Vandenberg one which is all gray. Okay, well, I guess that works.
I mean,
oh boy.
That's Starbase during
Yeah.
SM11, I guess.
Oh, you had to bring that one back.
ouch.
I mean,
And also
15 wasn't.
Flight 4, I guess, as well.
I mean, even 15,
Yeah, that too.
which that one hurts even more because that one they actually stuck the. But anyway, let's not bring up bad memories. We are coming up on 8 minutes to go now, about a minute away from them starting engine chill on those 9 Merlin 1D engines. And Max, what's the point of chilling down these engines before we let you get into the heated part of the count?
So, you don't want to be flowing any sort of cryogenic or super chilled fluids through any sort of plumbing or materials that are not either at or very near the same temperatures, because that can cause flash gassing, and the gas expands rather rapidly when that happens, and that can cause all sorts of damage to your plumbing and whatever hardware is in the area, whether it be in the transporter erector or the transporter erector, good lord, or the engines themselves. The engines are a lot more sensitive, and the tolerances there also are incredibly fine. So you want to make sure everything is chilled down as they should be. So that is what that is. And the next callouts we should be hearing in the count via audio should be callouts for both first stage and second stage locks load complete, and also stage 1 RP1 load complete as well. Stage 1 or stage 2 RP1 load should be complete very soon, because obviously there is a lot less of it, and it is also not super chilled compared to the first stage either. So, yeah, that is why, and that should be coming up rather soon.
There we go. And because it's rather soon, I will let you head off to your cameras with DYs to get us the fantastic views. And by the way, the spaceport that never sleeps. We talk about New Glenn and Port right now. Those that's another fairing encapsulated with payload inside, on its way down right by the VAV to your left, or behind you, I guess, where you are.
They say it's the spaceport that never sleeps for a reason, guys. But thank you very much, Sawyer, and we will see y'all on the other side.
Could that potentially be Alex for the next 39A launch? Because there is one, I believe, coming up later this week.
Yep, in about 2 days or so, there should be another one out of 39A, and that should be hopefully with this one, because I will say probably not the one for 40, because there's a rocket out there that it's fully loaded with propellant, or almost at least loaded with propellant for launch. So this one is probably going to 39A.
There we go. Again, this should make some great views, crazy things happening, but we are getting into the exciting part of the countdown, at least here for the launch on your screen, which is the Starlink 6-94 minutes, scheduled for 5.5 minutes from now to send 29 Starlink V2 mini satellites on their way to orbit. On your screen, booster 1085, going for its 12th flight here. And we have a Shortfall of Gravitas as the drone ship for tonight as they try to recover this booster. And I know there's a lot of people coming in asking if they can see it in 5 minutes from now. One more time, Alex, do you mind reminding us the trajectory and where we can expect for this?
Yep, this is from Florida at Slick 40 at the Cape. So this is going to go southeast for this launch in particular. So if you're south of the Cape, looks sort of like east or so, right? If it's already well into the mission, that'll be more or less. If you're anywhere in the Cape, you're gonna see it because it's gonna turn the night day, so it'll be very visible. Trust me. But otherwise, if you are again south of the launch site, probably around east direction, you should be looking that way. If you're in the Bahamas, look north because it's gonna come to you. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of up towards Daytona is about towards the north end. Of course, St. Pete and Tampa on the west side, but then as you get to West Palm Beach and Fort Lauderdale and Miami, you'll be able to see it for sure. And getting ready for retraction of the strongback. That is the metallic structure that is up against the side of Falcon 9. It's a bit tricky to see it from our vantage point here because of that crew access tower in the way, but it has a whole bunch of lines connected to the rocket that provide propellant load, that provide data, thermal conditioning, all of those different items. And they lean that back 1.8 degrees away from the rocket. Why so little? Why not just all the way?
Yeah, so that is because if they went all the way out, the propellant lines and all of the other commodity lines will be very long. That's what they do at Vandenberg. They do have some kind of trick probably so that it doesn't get as roasted during launch, but still, if it gets roasted, then it's quite a bigger kind of unprotected section of your umbilicals, right? That can get roasted. So it's usually better when it is this way. There's also other things related to throwing back the stromback at T0 at liftoff. It's a lot easier this way because it's sort of like already separated from the rocket a little bit rather than going all the way out and then having to further retract or anything like that. It's a little bit better this way.
Exactly. We are about 3 minutes to go. Chat, are you go for tonight's launch? Hopefully we'll see all the goes in chat as we
There we go.
complete liquid oxygen load there on Falcon 9. You could see all the frostiness from it. As things wrap up here, we will hear the gas closeout lines coming up, meaning that they will purge all of those lines, and we'll see more venting, kind of similar to what we saw for the 20-minute, 20-second vent just a short time ago. You could see our team locked in and ready to go on the left side of your screen, Falcon 9 on the right side as well. And so what's still left in these last 2 minutes of the count, Alex?
Yeah, so right now we should be waiting for that liquid oxygen load on the second stage to wrap up. And at the same time, we'll see the return of the stromback vent as they clear all of the lines. They sort of save the transport director from any, all of the high pressure that it has during the loading of different gases. There it is. So we'll see that vent coming up really soon here. And so, just part of the safety protocols that they do before that liftoff. And of course, at T-minus 1 minute, the rocket will take over control of the count. It'll pressurize the tanks for flight, and we'll hopefully get 15 seconds later that go for launch from the launch director. So we'll see what happens.
There we go, and you could see that venting coming back, as you pointed out, totally normal. 90 seconds to go.
Gas launch closeouts.
There it is.
And that's the closeouts, hence why we see the purging. Everything right on time there. There it is, the big puff of extra gas through the lines coming out. We are now 70 seconds away from launch of Falcon 9, 29 Starlink V2 mini satellites heading to orbit. We should now be coming up on, as you pointed out, Falcon 9 entering startup, and we'll listen in for that call.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
There we go. The onboard computer is now taking control of the countdown, tanks pressurizing to flight levels, and as Alex just mentioned, hopefully we will hear the launch director give the go for launch.
Consultation with the launch director, go for launch.
Oh, someone in place of the launch director today, but that is the call anyway. Go for launch. About 30 seconds to go now. And this is at Space Launch Complex 40 at the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. We will, of course, be quiet after it launches so you can enjoy some of the rumble. But for right now, what we will expect next is the Rainbirds to activate, which is a water deluge system at the base of the rocket. That happens at about 7 seconds to go. That will be followed by the ignition of those 9 Merlin 1D engines. We see the flash. We see ignition. And liftoff of Falcon 9 and the Starlink 6-94 mission goes. Starlink V2 minis go. Beautiful sounds and beautiful views tonight. Falcon 9 passing through max Q, maximum aerodynamic pressure on the vehicle, continuing its way uphill 90 seconds into flight. Could hear that VAB squeal tonight. So as it gets thinner, the plume will spread out. As those 9 engines continue to work, you'll be able to see them a little more pronounced. Also, as it gets to the thinner parts of the atmosphere where there's less oxygen, the colors will start to change as well, getting to that purple and then towards the blue hue. Coming up next will be 3 events in rapid succession, starting off with MECO, main engine cutoff, the shutdown of those 9 Merlin 1D engines, followed by separation of the first and second stages, and then ignition of that second stage known as SES-1, followed by payload fairing jettison. So we should now be coming up on MECO. And there we go. Next up will be that separation of stage 1 and stage 2. And now we should have SES-1. And there we go. Merlin vacuum engine ignited. Here is the view from SpaceX's feed, which is a couple of seconds behind ours. Love seeing the flash of the T-tab. And there we go. There is the ignition. The engine bell glowing. Next up will be the fairing jettison. So that's those 2 halves that surround the vehicle, or the payloads, on top of the vehicle. It looks like that just happened there. That will fall away. Those will actually splash down in the ocean and be recovered.
Yep, and we actually know the identity of these 2. They are serial number 218 and 187. Interestingly, they have flown about the same number of times as this booster. This booster's doing its 12th launch, and at least one of them is doing its 12th launch, the other its 13th launch of those 2 fairing halves. So really interesting that we are very, very on par in that case.
Exactly. And which vessel do we have downrange tonight, by the way, to catch those fairings?
Yeah, so they'll be parachuting down to the Atlantic Ocean, and out there will be Doug recovering it. It's got like a little crane, sort of like a scorpion sort of thing, right? And it scoops them out and brings them into port, hopefully in about a day and a half from now. And then it will go out again for the Starlink 679 mission.
Yep, and you'll be able to watch all of that on Space Coast Live, our 24/7 live cameras at the port. Meanwhile, you could see that beautiful engine glow. For those asking, this is not exactly a jellyfish. This is just the plume expansion and the light hitting on it, and the team doing an amazing job with the cameras so that you're able to see it as well. In terms of the actual jellyfish, the sun set a little too early for that to happen for this evening. Also, moon not super bright tonight, hence why we're kind of seeing the plume as it is right now. Still gorgeous, though. And coming up next...
It is really beautiful.
Oh, yeah. And coming up next, by the way, will be the... Are those the fairings at the bottom, by the way? The bottom left?
It might be my own...
Stars.
Yeah, my own replay is sort of like a little bit too tiny in my screen, but it might still be possible to see it.
Next up is the entry burn, though, and that is when we fight fire with fire to help Falcon 9 slow down. How does the engine burn work?
Yeah, so they're going to light up 3 engines, but as usual, it's not all of them at once. First, they light up the center engine, and then 2 of the outer engines. They are always the same numbering. It's just like on airplanes, you've got engine 1, 2, and if it's got more, it's like 3 and 4, right? So same deal with Merlin engines. They have engines 1 through 9, and so engines 9, 3, and 5. Those are the ones that light up for relight for the entry burn. And so engine 9 is the one in the middle, and 3 and 5 are the outer engines. So that is the way that sort of it goes. And so they light up first that center engine, then the other 2. So we'll see that in the bottom left. We'll see that overlay coming up soon for that entry burn, and it's in the same orientation. Oh, well, first we're gonna see that from the ground.
There
Amazing
it is.
track there.
Yes, this our team on the ground tracking it as you see that entry burn start off the 1 and the 3, so that should be 3 engines firing up, and then that will drop back down to a single engine before shutting down. This is about a 20-second burn or so.
That's a really good track. Look at that. And there we
Beautiful.
go.
And then the SpaceX views of it, dropping down to 1, and then off. Beautiful. That's what we like to see. And again, the plasma going through those grid fins. Stage 2 continuing to do its job, looking really good up to this point. And on the left, B-1085, working its way towards the drone ship, a shortfall of Gravitas.
Yep. It's going to use its grid fins and RCS thrusters to control itself and sort of glide its way out to the drone ship. Doesn't have the strakes like New Glenn, right? So it cannot glide as much, but still has some maneuverability and whatnot. And so it sort of makes its way out there, targets a little bit to the side of the drone ship, and once it lights up the engine for landing burn, then it sort of translates its way out to the deck of the drone ship. So we'll stay tuned for that.
Although I
in
can't
a
wait
few
for the
seconds from
replay.
now.
I can't wait for the replay, which there will be replays after. Stick around of this launching with New Glenn nearby. That should be cool. Also cool, though, you could see in the left grid fin area there, you'll see a little light. That is the deck of the drone ship. There is a shortfall of Gravitas. Now you can see it a little better. It'll be a lot clearer once we see that the landing burn, with that single engine igniting. There it is. You'll see those grid fins doing their steering to help bring the booster down to the deck.
Grid fins working their way as well.
And there's the view from on board. Next up will be landing leg deploy. And touchdown. B-1085, now lucky dash 13 on the end after a successful 12th flight. And we should see the Seco 1, second engine cutoff 1, any moment.
There it is.
There we go. And those numbers look pretty good to me, Alex.
Yep, it's pretty much what we should expect for this orbit and what we see in previous occasions. And I think they just called out nominal orbit insertion, so there we go.
That's what we like to hear. It means exactly as it's supposed to be. And you can see there the transporter erector and an empty launch pad at Slick 40. Meanwhile, we also had fairings rolling by during the launch. We also had New Glenn being worked on at the port during the launch. We also had 2 Falcon 9 boosters in the port during the launch. I mean, it's unbelievable the amount of things happening all at the same time, including already getting the replays. This from one of the robotic cameras that we have on top of our building at the Launch Complex 39 press site. Beautiful. By the way, speaking of that fairing half, that's it on the right side of your screen there.
Yep. Making its way down there, 239A.
Yeah, the one on the right going, hey, it's my turn next. I want to do that. And we will hopefully see that. I believe that's scheduled for Thursday, no earlier than Thursday currently.
Yeah, it's not going to be a good time of day. It's 10:01 p.m. Eastern. So, yeah, it's going to be a little bit late in the day. And let's not even talk about the other one later in the week, because that one is a even horrible time of day.
6-79 at 2 a.m.
Yeah, right. 2 a.m. Eastern. That's not great.
Anyway, the gorgeous colors here. Again, in addition to our team on the ground, we also have an amazing team of operators over at Space Coast Live that help remotely track this. So these are people at home, potentially thousands of miles away, tracking this vehicle and doing a fantastic job of that as well. Again, I love those colors right before shutdown. And this is what it looked like behind the scenes. Oh, I love Max cheering it on there. Right before going hands-on. This is what it looks like to bring you the views, folks, for the people that are there. Max, talk about turning night into day, huh?
Just about, yeah. Honestly, I don't want to say I always forget, but I'm always pleasantly reminded just how bright Falcon 9 is whenever we see it launch at night. It's the kind of thing you would think you'd get kind of used to, but honestly, you still don't. You really, really don't. Unless you are looking at it directly on a monitor, it's so bright that you really should not look at it directly with your eyes. Either look off to the side or look on top of it, look on the bottom of it, because it can cause some eye damage. Because it is kind of like its own rising sun. That's how bright Carolox mixtures can be. Oh, audio.
Yes, replay the sound.
Are those ducks?
Those are birds of sorts. I don't know exactly what kind, but they are. I want to say those are cranes. I could be wrong though.
Age, where are you?
Yeah, for real.
Our bird.
There are two cranes there. The
Uh,
LR 11,000 and the LR 13,000, but sure.
Boo.
Come on, Alex. You can do better than that.
I can. I think there's also an LR 1300. You can see some of the tip of the boom there next to the fairing.
Goodness gracious. How come I'm the one that's groaning at the puns? Normally that's my job. It's weird being on the other side of it. Oh man, spectacular. And I was checking in with D in the back channel earlier. Remember when I was pointing out the dots in the bottom left, Alex, and saying maybe it was the fairings?
It turns out it was.
Yes, that was the fairings after they separated, visible in the frame too.
Oh, cube
Also
zoom. Come
visible,
on.
2 rocket dorks on screen there. That is so awesome. Max, great shot with the streak shot going right between you and D.
Yeah, that's what's nice about these southeast trajectories from Slick 40, in that more or less it's flying directly away from you. So you don't have to worry about if you have a wide enough lens, because it'll take up most of the frame. It's pretty easy to frame up for, and there is just enough of an arc there for you to actually see it traveling downrange and arcing over itself. So a really pretty one.
Absolutely. By the way, people saying wait till you see SLS SRBs. We have seen SLS SRBs, and yeah, that's even brighter. It's but I still look at it. I mean, that may explain why I'm partially blind at this rate, but yeah, no, I still look right at it.
What? Sorry,
Blind,
what?
I would say smart Alec, but it's actually smart Alex. Let me thank some people here really quick. Rosebud53, are you recognized for merch sales when you host? Please say it isn't true. It isn't true. It was a joke. It's not a commission thing. It's not like, oh, I have to sell X many sweaters. No, I say it because I own some of the sweaters we've had from the past years. I love it. It genuinely is warm. I also say that because we got shown the designs just before they were released earlier in the week, and it was like, okay, these are actually really cool as they're going through little Easter eggs and things, which I don't want to, spoil all of them. You got to look at it and find them all yourself. But it's genuinely because we love what we sell. It's not because, oh, we have to sell X number. And D. Lucy, different D, thank you for gifting 10 Red Team memberships. Very much appreciated. If you did get one of those, please make sure you give them a big ol' Thank you. And of course, stick around because we have slow motion still. Speaking of D, they are working on that right now. Also, Joe Darby saying that they saw the liftoff on Harbor Island, South Carolina. Am I reading that right? SC, South Carolina.
Interesting.
Pretty far to see a southeast trajectory. If you have any photos or videos, please post and tag us. We'd love to see them.
Yeah, on all the socials, X when it's working, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, TikTok. I mean, tell me I'm wrong today.
Wait, is it? Because there's a few harbor islands that I'm looking here at maps, but I'm guessing it is South Carolina. Yeah.
It's SC, so that's the code for South Carolina usually.
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty far. I'm impressed. Also, someone asking, Max, do you use a parabolic reflector microphone to extend launch sound pickup? No, we don't use a parabolic mic.
We do not. It is basically the standard tripod microphone. I don't know why I said tripod. Microphone that you can get off of Amazon. I believe it's just a boom mic. It's not quite a shotgun mic because it takes in sound from all directions, but it's just an off-the-shelf microphone that you can adjust levels on. And because we've seen a lot of launches to this point, I think I think it's safe to say that I have gotten it dialed in pretty well. No matter which pad we are launching from. I guess that comes from experience at this point, but no, just your standard off the shelf microphone.
Yeah. I think they're thinking of the ones on the sidelines of sporting events where you see them with the big giant dish with the mic in the middle trying to channel the sound in. Wonder what a launch would sound like on one of those.
I would
I
love
don't
to find out.
Das, question for you. What's it look like in the budget for a parabolic? Anyway. I'm joking, but there you can see on the left side of your screen, of course, the cap still on New Glenn, just actually attached while we were on the air before the launch itself. We will hopefully start seeing that lifted soon and then placed onto a device that will lower it and allow it to be transported back over to the facilities that they have. I'm guessing they would take that to Exploration Park rather than back to the hangar, right, Alex? Or would they take that just to the hangar for inspections?
You know what? There might be in the future a facility specifically for that, but I think right now there's like an integration hangar at Exploration Park that they may use for this. Yeah, not to the factory, but there's like a very specific hangar, sort of hangar, I guess. It's more of a hangar, but yeah. So what I'm trying to say is that at Exploration Park, they build the different parts of the booster, right? And then there's like an integration hangar that they use at Exploration Park, which is different from the one at the pad. I think that's probably where they're going to be rolling this booster out there. Yeah.
It'll be exciting to see. And of course, you can keep an eye on that progress all throughout the evening and all tomorrow until they remove it with our Space Coast Live 24/7 cameras. You'll be able to see all of the action as it happens, and that's where we can hand you off to now as we wrap things up here tonight. Alex, thank you for joining me for this launch.
It's been a pleasure as usual. Might not hear my voice for a little while. I'm going on vacation for a little bit, so everyone, you all stay safe and everything, and I'll be back in December.
Don't worry, we're not losing anyone else here at NSF. Alex is staying with us.
I'm just
vacation.
Exactly. Just a vacation for just a few weeks, and I'll be back in December. I think maybe one of the first times that I'm going to be back, there's a special thing, which I will not leak, but just saying it's special.
Ooh, very special. Also, always special to hang out with my Cape team here. Max, thank you for joining us on comms.
Pleasure as always, Sawyer, and thank you very much everyone else for coming to hang out with us once again today, because it has been a very, very busy past couple of weeks here, and we can only do what we do because y'all keep showing back up, and it means the world to us, really. I think we are going to be closing out 2025 pretty soon, but 2026 is shaping up to be pretty insane, so a lot more to come.
Absolutely. D-Wise out there also with the tracking and with the slow motion that you will see in just a couple of seconds. Carson will help put that on the screen because he's been pushing the buttons, pulling the levers. I am Sawyer Rosenstein. I've been your host for this evening's launch attempt of Starlink 6-94. Thank you, as always, for joining, and we will see you on the next one.
And here we go.
We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Traveling up. Roger, planet.
Tango down to nominal.
Climbing down to SPD off. Bring in SPD off. It's orange! R45! Oh my god! Oh my god! Decollage! What is it? Put that in the big bag, Tingle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
This methane will be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You dead? Sure. We don't need any more of these.